Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. You see, if criminality increases in a neighborhood or in a town, could be at least three reasons associated with that trend. One, really the crime is more criminals, right? More crime, in the streets. Second, maybe the government increased the number of actions that it calls crime. Therefore, they can consider is a crime if you scratch your ear, and therefore you're going to have the criminality will surge, or both. They increase the terminology, the terms, the actions, the code, and there's more criminals because they are. We have to figure out which one or which of these three is the real reason for an increase in crime. I started with this to discuss how is this possible that from the previous administration, the Trump administration, there are so many people, officials, that are arrested, indicted, charged, convicted by this administration. Which one of the three is? Did they lower the standard? Did they increase the standard? Those people really were criminals, or both? Which one is it? Or could be another one. Maybe, the government increased the code of actions, the terms, and because they want to catch a certain kind of people in action. Let's say, people who like to scratch their ears, and they have something against the people who scratch their ears. So therefore they say, how can we get them in prison? Well, let's make a law. Let's make it illegal. That's a crime. Therefore, and you get them in the prison. So let's see what's going on here. Maybe you heard that that panel in Washington, D.C. of weasels, they said that they will issue a subpoena to the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, to appear and testify in front of the commission. Remember Steve Bannon? If you don't know who that was a senior advisor. He was associated with Breitbart. He had his own movement and has his own podcast, The War Room, and all that. He's a very intelligent person. Let's stop right there. And courageous. Let's stop there. All right. So he got 4 months in prison right now, from 6, for contempt of court. That means he didn't want to show up in court. Now, if you got a subpoena, you got to show up in court. Unless you are Holder. Eric Holder, remember? The U.S. Attorney General of former President Obama. He was subpoenaed to show in court. Did he show up? No. Why? Because he said that it's a certain kind of presidential privilege and he has nothing to talk with these guys. Did he get indicted? Charged? Convicted? No. Why? So that means it can't be there's more criminals. Maybe they changed a little bit the rules by which they will get the criminals or the people they suspect of committing a crime. Just think of Eric Holder. Check him out. So Associated Press reports on October 21st, January 6 panel issues subpoena to Trump demanding he testify. The House committee investigating the January 6 on the, I'm going to cut certain crap, I'm not going to be their monkey to mimic their verbal requirements, because that's what they do. They make us use their semantics and their vocabulary, otherwise we're called names. I refuse to do that. And that's just the first step. So this thing, investigating this January 6th, the U.S. Capitol issued a subpoena Friday to Donald Trump, exercising its subpoena power against the former president who lawmakers say personally orchestrated a multi-part effort to overturn the results of the 2020. Okay, the 9-member panel issued a letter to Trump lawyers demanding his testimony under oath by November 14 and outlining a request for a series of corresponding documents, including personal communications between the former president and members of the Congress, as well as extremist groups. And I'm quoting, "We recognize that a subpoena to a former president is significant and historic action." That's why you do it, partly, to be the first ones that suck a dick. Anyway, Chairman Benny Thompson and Vice Chair Liz Cheney, a sellout. She's out of her office. Her own people from her own state rejected her, but she's still there. So she commits as many quote-unquote crime as she can before she leaves, as the other weasel, Kinzinger, whatever his name is, another weasel who cries over there in front of everybody, how upset he is that he's, oh my God, and these are our leaders. So the committee writes in the letter that he has assembled of overwhelming evidence that Trump personally orchestrated an effort to overturn his own defeat in 2020, including spreading false allegations of widespread vote fraud, attempting to corrupt the Justice Department, and by pressuring state officials, member of Congress, and his own vice president to try to change the results. Now, let's be first fair and say, well, if there's evidence, by all means, in a fair, just society, that should be investigated. Evidence should be presented in court. He should testify. We find out if he's going to be, beyond any reasonable doubt that he committed a crime, and he would be indicted, convicted, and he's going to go to wherever the law says. Right? Right. That is in a fair, just society, ideal society. Now let's go back in our pig stall, how do you call that, piece of shit, let's put it this way, society we have. These guys play as if never happened anything like this before, which it might not happen, but they want to hold this guy accountable for that, which they should, but while we are at it, let's look at other things. They should still have to go and, for instance, issue a felony charge and conviction to former CIA Brennan, right? He testified in front of a commission, and he committed perjury. Remember that one? I think like 3 times in an hour. Was he convicted? No. He's now he's a an expert at one of these CIA mass media outlets, MSNBC, or one of these guys that are owned by those guys anyway, infiltrated, and they have these things here already. So while you're at it, get that guy first, okay? And that's just one example. So don't give me all, okay, while you're at it, why don't you go and get Cheney, Mr. Cheney? Liz Cheney's, I would call him criminal father. And why do I call him criminal father? Because he invaded a sovereign country on false pretext. And he lied, he instigated to war, and a lot of civilians died. Based on the sanctions that were imposed on Iraq, died about 500,000 children. Remember that Jewish Secretary of State, American Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, in a 60 Minutes interview, is still on YouTube, when she was asked, do you think that the price was worth it to impose sanctions on Iraq, where about 500,000 Iraqi children perished? And she said, I think the price is worth it. Okay, while you are at it, she died a few months ago, maybe 2. Why don't you go and dig her grave, put her back on trial, and then indict her and convict her, send her to prison? Why wouldn't you do that? So before you get this guy and get the evidence and do the right thing, do the right thing on the other side. And while you are at it, Bill Clinton is still available. He's still, I don't know if he's still, you know what I mean, but he's still there. Get him and ask him about the illegal bombardment of Yugoslavia. Illegal, international law. Right there, clear cut. While you're at it, go and get, if you can, Roosevelt. Dig him out, bring him out. You can go and get, what's his name, George W. Semi-Tard president. That he was a graduate of Yale and Harvard. Yeah? So for me, those 2 Ivy League schools are gone since I heard this guy. And I heard Obama the same way. Well, if you want Obama, yeah, get him too. Ask him about what happened to Gaddafi. Why don't you ask him? You are at it, get Clinton's wife, the communist, so-called. Yeah, Hillary. Yeah, Hillary. Get her for the Benghazi. Get her for the... Benghazi was investigated. Okay, get her for, what's his name? Muammar Gaddafi. Why not? Well, she was a Secretary of State. No? Okay, then next time when you tell me about this guy, I will not consider it. I will think this is just a political stunt. Alright? Until then, don't come with me, oh, you like Emily, you like justice. I do. That's why I started with the beginning, with the ideal. When ideal, yes, that would be. But I would go back and get all these weasels and do the same thing, which these guys are not willing to do it. So therefore, and besides, think of this. Maybe not. It's not the place. Just saying, if you want to be honest about it, then go back. And I'm pretty sure all those weasels over there have little hunchbacks right there. If you remember my Arthur Schopenhauer story, the German philosopher. We all have a hunchback with some dirty stuff that we did, that we have nasty stuff. And when we show ourselves in public, we show ourselves with a hunchback that you don't see it. Never from the profile so you can see it, never. So we show like this. Rarely someone goes around us and see who we really are. So, the same thing with this Liz Cheney, Kisslinger, Buslinger, Kamling, this committee. I am pretty sure some of them might be, having some big fucking hunches on their back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.